Well, on that, joining me now is Matthew Barber, Police and Crime Commissioner for Thames Valley. Matthew, thank you so much for being with us. I don't know if you managed to just watch that clip of the Prime Minister there or not, but if you weren't, he was basically saying he's not taking no for an answer. He's going to find a way to make sure the killers of PC Harper are not released early. How easy is that? Because a lot of people have been saying that this is really, really difficult, legally speaking.
Well, I think this is incredibly easy, and my only frustration is that it's taken so long for the Prime Minister to come out and say that he really wants to make this happen, because we've seen the toing and froing on this. It was 3 weeks ago that Andy Burnham said that he was going to review the Sentencing Act. We then saw changes brought in that excluded the case of PC Andrew Harper's killers. And then over the last week or so, we've had the toing and froing of Downing Street, no, it definitely can't be done. And now we're hearing the Prime Minister saying it can be done. I think he's right. It can be done. It should have been done by now. But I welcome this shift. This is the wider implications of the Sentencing Act are complex, but there is a very simple way of the government excluding those particular individuals from early release and making sure they stay in prison. But there is also a wider problem with the Sentencing Act and the way in which the government has enacted this legislation, which will see far too many people coming out of prison early.
Just explain to me, expand on that moment when you say it can be done easily, it can be done simply, specifically those types of criminals. What do you mean by that?
So very simply, Parliament, when it legislates in September, and I believe that the government will need to bring forward some emergency legislation in order to make changes that they've already promised to the Sentencing Act, can simply legislate to describe a group of offenders, those people who've committed manslaughter against emergency service workers. That would certainly cover these two individuals. There may be some others in the prison system who are covered by that as well, but we are talking less than 10 people. So we're not talking the numbers which would cause additional pressure to the prison system. That's not retrospective legislation. That is simply making sure that they serve the sentence as was expected at the day they were found guilty. So we're not extending it. We're not doing anything retrospective. It's entirely within the normal principles of what Parliament can do. So there is that solution. It's something I've talked to many members of Parliament about, urging them to take that action when Parliament sits again in September. And yesterday, again for the second time, I wrote to the Prime Minister along with the Chief Constable and the Chairman of the local police federation. We haven't had a response to the letters we wrote to him 3 weeks ago. We're asking them to engage because it's really encouraging that the Prime Minister says he wants to solve this problem, but there is a solution there on the table. At the moment, we've heard nothing back from the government in terms of making this work. And I think the concern that a lot of people would have, certainly Andrew Harper's family, officers in Thames Valley Police and the wider public, I won't really be convinced until we see it in black and white when Parliament comes back in September, because we've had so much toing and froing on this, of the government saying that they want to make a change, but then it's not possible, but now they do want to make that change again. So we need some clarity on this. The government have been, frankly, all over the place on it over the last few weeks. I hope we can get to a positive place that has the public backing, because we've got more than 910,000 people who've signed the petition now calling for those people to be kept in prison. And I think the government can take a very simple step to make sure they deliver on behalf of the public and the police.
Matthew, do you have any sympathy for the government when it comes to the early release scheme, particularly the prison overcrowding issue that they say they are trying to fix, but it's going to take time, and whether we like it or not, they are going to have to let people out early?
So undoubtedly, Andrew Burnham was coming to deal with a problem which was created by Keir Starmer's government. He wasn't even an MP when the Sentencing Act was passed. But those in Parliament have voted for this Act over the last few months. This is a new piece of legislation. It is different from almost any other early release piece of legislation we've seen, both in its scale and the way it operates. And just back at the end of last year, the Labour government were saying that rapists and sex offenders couldn't be kept in prison because it simply wasn't possible and there wasn't space. Andy Burnham's now come in and said, we will make that happen. They will say, well, that's brilliant, that's great news. But it just goes to show that actually that claim by Starmer's government that couldn't be done was wrong. And that's why when Burnham's spokesman said yesterday that this can't be done, we know yet again they are wrong. This can be done, it can be achieved. We know there are lots of pressures on prison places, that's undeniable, but there is a way in which the Sentencing Act can be changed to deal with these particular offenders. And more fundamentally, the government ought to be looking at a risk-based approach to those who are let out of prison, which is what we've seen in the past. But this legislation is very blanket in its approach.
Matthew Barber, thanks for your time.